New Garnier Men Acno Fight Gentle Cleanser. ये है gentle on skin, tough on pimples.
That is a masterclass from South Africa. India humbled and hammered at home in the ICC Men's T20 World Cup. 76 runs. That's a proper defeat. That's a comprehensive win for Aiden Markram's side. More than a reality check, a wake-up shock perhaps for Surya Yadav's side. We break down a tactical masterclass of a story from South Africa, what went wrong for India, all that and more on ESPN Cricket Info Timeout, powered by Garnier Men. Two men that, even if you saw the result coming, you did not see that margin coming, I'm pretty sure. Varun thought India would get over the line. Faf thought South Africa would do it, but it would be close. But where do we begin after we've seen a performance like that? That was domination. That's a... If you were in that South African team right now, what are you feeling right now?
That's a statement.
Yes.
The statement is to say this is the team to beat. Spotless bowling performance. Every single bowler, you could see the planning that went into that. The way that they bowled to certain batters. There was a lot of thinking behind the scenes. The way they bowled to Surya Yadav, pace of the ball, make him trying to hit the ball. Off spin, as we said, really tactically, I thought they were very good tonight.
Is that the difference tonight? That this is perhaps the best A team has bowled to this highly dominant Indian batting lineup in T20 cricket in recent times?
First of all, I think both of you are spot on. That tactical masterclass, the way they went about it. Also, see, you can, Faf knows, he's obviously captained so many matches. You can have the best planning, but your bowlers have to execute. Unbelievable execution. They executed whatever plans they had to the T. They never had to fall back on plan B. Generally, when you fall back on plan B, you play into the batsman's hand, but they just stuck to plan A and executed plan A. Brilliant performance, bowling performance by them. And I mean, I did not see this coming. It's a massive loss.
Yeah, and who knows the implications it could have. There are a lot that have happened here. It's ended a T20 winning streak for India. It's ended an ICC tournament winning streak chasing. They don't really lose too many chasing. It's also another loss at this stadium, which is in line to host the final, where a lot of pre-tournament punditry would have predicted India to be in that final, but a 76-run defeat. And net run rate in a Super 8 group that has jeopardy attached to it when you lose. Who knows what this game could mean for the rest of the tournament. We'll come back to all that later. For now, we want to spend some time on South Africa's planning and their masterclass. I want to sit here and write down every plan that the two of you picked up, because it seemed like it started right from the get-go with Markram's off-spin, Ngidi's pace-off, the lengths that Janssen and Bosch and Rabada bowled. So let's go. What did you pick up first? The first bit of brilliant planning where you guys sat back and thought.
I thought pace-off, I've seen more than I used to see. So when you think of a venue like Ahmedabad, you won't say pace-off. It's not the first thing that jumps at you tactically. So I think what would have happened there is two things. There would have been some talk to certain batters, we would like to take some pace off, but I think they would have gone from the first innings, and maybe there was an adjustment talk, a little strategized session with the bowlers to go pace off is really working on this wicket, so let's make that the plan A. And I mean, Lungi bowled 5 slow balls, I think, in a row in the power play.
Yeah, I think he's ended with 70%, almost 69 or 70% pace off deliveries, and he's barely gone for anything. 4 overs, none for 15. 4 overs, none for 15.
So you know, as a bowler, like the word out on the street is if something is working, you stick to it and you don't have to change. And that was just brilliantly the way that Lungi's plan was to take pace off the ball, and he just stuck to it.
So Lungi and Ngidi pace off. I mean, there was pace off from everyone, but Ngidi led that charge. What else?
Look, the wicket was always going to be slower in second half. Great toss to win, first of all. 100%, because this black soil wicket always gets slower. David Miller would have definitely fed them that information. He's played a lot of cricket here. Okay, let's move on from Lungi Ngidi to Keshav Maharaj. Brilliant bowling. Bowled everything wide to Hardik Pandya. Just didn't give him anything. Made sure that it was always out of his hitting arc. Look, Hardik Pandya didn't want to knock those singles around. The bowlers just didn't give him an inch. I thought brilliant bowling overall, except those length balls bowled to Shivam Dube.
By Rabada.
Yeah, by even Cobbin Bosch bowled a few length balls to him. Even Janssen bowled a couple of length balls. I thought they could have really bumped him. But otherwise, it was absolute spot on planning.
Yeah, I thought you said at halftime that it'll look the same to bat. It won't be harder to bat. It got harder to bat? The wicket got slower, you said?
I would say it wasn't the same. I mean, it wasn't it was slightly slow. That's what we always see with this black soil wicket. Slightly slow, and the most important thing is, as a team, you assess the conditions, pass the word around, and then stick to your plans, which South Africa did.
Let's go power play as well. I want to actually spend a little more time on the Ngidi slow ball, if you don't mind, before I go to power play. But
India's power play dot ball percentage was 64 dot ball percentage,
Right.
which is massive.
yeah, I mean, they couldn't get it away.
Yeah.
It's that simple. And there is a full story on how they bowled to Abhishek Sharma also in that innings. There were a couple of sixes or a couple of boundaries, and otherwise just dots. I'll come to that. But if we're on Ngidi and starting on him,
And interestingly, the field to Abhishek as well, there was a point and a cover out.
Yeah.
Once again, tactically aware of how we are trying to going to bowl to him. These are his strengths. This is what he normally does. So let's try and take him away from that and make him think of scoring in different areas. Now, whether that brought the wicket, we don't know, but just shows you there was planning, out the box planning.
it certainly applied pressure. Let's put it that way. Okay, I'll come to Ngidi later. Let's go to Abhishek and Jansen now, where you've got two fielders deep in the offside, and those were also shuffling around a little bit.
And I mean,
Sometimes it
how
was
often do you
third.
see that in T20 cricket?
The
Very
teams
rarely.
have actually started to do that to Abhishek now. If you remember the way he got out to US in the
Yes.
first game, there was this extra deep sweeper cover, which was not exactly in cover. Generally in T20, you would want to keep the fielder slightly squarer,
Yeah.
because the batsman generally goes hard there. But the fielder was actually deep extra cover. So teams are beginning to do that a lot.
As a bowler, though, that's not something you can easily accept, right? No protection deep on the leg side in the power play against Abhishek Sharma.
As a bowler, you just got to keep your ego in the cupboard and then come to a T20 match now.
Ego is one thing, but Marco Jansen also, I mean,
Yeah, so once again, it's a tactical plan. So if the bowler believes in it, then he'll, it's all in the cell, as we would say, depending on how good the coach or the captain or the guy who's working on the plans, the bowling coach, if his cell is really good, this is why I think you should do it. And he sells it well, then the bowler buys into it, and then it's a case of just executing.
so you've got a series of really good balls to a plan on the offside. Abhishek is unable, he's tried to even go through the offside, I think, of Rabada and missed. Of Ngidi, there was swinging and missing.
Yeah.
Eventually, the wicket is a pace-off ball. It's a great catch as well, which we'll
Great
come
catch.
to. But if we have to break down the story of the wicket itself, what would you describe it as?
It just looked like, it's typical Abhishek, isn't it? He's taking the game on. So he's going really hard at the ball. He wants pace on the ball. He wants to hit sixes. That's what he does in T20 cricket. So pace off now, you can see it swipe and swipe and swipe. So it was just, it looked like it was a little bit slow, like he's saying with the black soil, but it was just almost like a fifth and a sixth gear. But it is the way that he plays. But if you're a little bit off in terms of form, it shows, and you hit that. Normally it's that for six. Now it's just off the middle of the bat and it goes just over mid-on.
With Abhishek, we've been seeing this since Australia. Teams have started to not let him get into rhythm, into hitting rhythm. Nathan Ellis did it really well. Slow ball, sharp bumper. That's what we saw today as well. Rabada bowled a great ball, angling away. He missed it. Next ball, again, as a bowler you would think, or as a batsman you would think, okay, that worked. He's going to do it again. Off cutter. He went big through the offside and the ball rolled under his bat. So you could literally see Abhishek just get frustrated that the ball's not coming onto my bat, and he wants the ball to come onto his bat. So teams are not giving him that one pace. They're taking pace off, pace on, pace off, pace on, which is just messing with his bat speed. Or
So-
his bat swing rather.
Yeah, so the pace-off has been the main ingredient tonight. The execution of the pace-off. There weren't too many pace-off balls that were full tosses down the leg
No.
side. So let's talk execution over here.
Execution
and how
again.
impressive that was.
They stuck to bowling over the wicket. All the right arm fast bowlers stuck to bowling over the wicket and taking it away from the batsman. At no point did they come round the wicket and bowl it into the arc. I think there was one plan that if we're taking pace off, we bowl it outside the hitting arc.
And you could see again, once again, towards the back end to Dubai, more planning around the wicket, almost like into his hip, making sure that he doesn't get that long swinging that he hits over cow. So once again, just getting into the blind spot, as we call it, when you're coming around the wicket as a left armer. So tactically, very good planning again.
What about the shuffling of the bowlers itself? Markram first, Jansen, Rabada, Ngidi, Jansen again.
Yeah, brilliant. Look, I think it helps the fact that they got the lefties out the way early, and most of them got, Kesh when he bowled towards the end, there wasn't two lefties that was on strike. But the reason why there was it was easiest because they bowled well.
Yes.
So that was good tactically to bowl the right guys at the right time, and Aiden could have easily bowled another over there after getting a wicket in the first over, but shuffled nicely.
It seemed like there was no release bowler either. Even when Corbin Bosch came in, there wasn't a couple of nice balls that you could take him down. Got Washington's wicket early, and again was on a bowler that was so hard to take down.
Corbin Bosch is no get away from jail bowler at all. He is somebody who's going to come to you hard. He bowls a very hard length. The ball rushes onto you before you even know it. So I think they've got their combination right. And Corbin Bosch is adding a lot of depth, not just to the batting but also to the bowling.
Okay, that is outstanding. Could India have done anything more? Washington Sundar has come in at 5, wasn't it? Yeah.
Hardik Pandya, you got to get Hardik Pandya up that batting order. Yeah, I mean, Hardik Pandya is somebody who has taken the team through different situations, and he's taken them home. When you needed about 144 runs of 13 overs, the man you would back is Hardik Pandya, because the thing is, he holds his shape so well. A lot of the Indian batsmen were going out of shape, were getting out of shape, were trying to do something fancy. They just looked uncomfortable. Hardik Pandya just remains poised while he's at the crease. And even if you bowl a great ball to Hardik Pandya, the great part of Hardik Pandya is he's going to take a single. Never once is he going to miss a single trying to hike the ball. So at that point of the game, you want somebody who can actually absorb the pressure, just assess the condition, and then go big when he's set. But Hardik Pandya was in too late.
I can't understand one good reason for sending Washington Sundar at the time that he did. With respect to him, I don't even know if we expected him to play in this game. It would have such a big role with the bat in a high pressure game with runs on the board. If you're South Africa, you'd much rather see Washington walk out at that point.
Yeah, and I've listened to the Indian team say that. Their batting lineup is very flexible. There's no specific way that they're going to go about it. But I agree with him. Hardik, for me, he's such a composed cricket brain. Like, I've seen him bat at 4 and come in the power play and play beautiful cricket shots. He's got a real presence about his batting when he comes in. So if you don't have your normal top 4 batters making the runs, he is your go-to guy, because he will know exactly what is required at the time. Does it need a bit of time to absorb a bit of pressure, play a few cricket shots, keep the wrist down, and then he has the ability to pull the trigger when it's the right time to do it.
But even when Hardik did come out, it's not like he found it easy either.
Yes, so we're talking about, in T20 cricket, we say that your best players needs to face the majority of the balls.
Absolutely.
So that comes into your question around why
Hardik at that time would have been given him a better chance.
Yeah, why is
to
Washington
succeed.
coming in? So if you believe he's your best player, and obviously that's not the case, but there's a lot of batsmen there that can.
At some point, the memo goes around, oh, South Africa are only bowling pace off. So surely India have batters that should be able to take it down? Why couldn't they?
It's not that easy. On a wicket which is not offering you pace, you've got to get set, and then you can take down pace off. Going in as a batsman, Faf can shed light on this better than me for sure. But as a batsman, the moment you go in and the wicket's not giving you any pace, you need to assess the condition, and that's why both of us are saying Hardik Pandya should have come in earlier, because you have to go through that period of about 7 to 10 balls where you absorb pressure and you're not eating balls, you're actually getting singles. And the moment you get an assessment of the condition, which is the wicket, then you can go big. You just can't come in. It might happen once in a while. It's not going to happen every single time.
A good way of measuring that is when you look at it, innings in general. Like, you could see right throughout the innings, it didn't look like there was a batsman that found it free flowing. The ball was just coming off the bat, that beautiful sun. So that tells you the wicket is on the slow side. And when you have a wicket on the slow side, you have that initial period of getting in, but then it's the decision making of which is the right bowler that I'm going to take on, and it becomes smart cricket with aggressive cricket.
In all that being said, I can totally see why you couldn't take down Lungi Ngidi, because you're barely getting your bat down in time, that slow ball.
What I was surprised with, because Lungi bowls a lot of slow balls, and generally what you feel tactically as a batsman is that when a guy is bowling a lot of slow balls and mid-off and mid-on is up, you feel like when he does do you with the slow ball, hitting the ball over the top gives you more of a chance than you are trying to hit the ball on the ground. So for example, Rickleton, great slow ball, he tries to hit it on the ground, gets caught because you get done with a slow ball. So generally when you play against someone like Lungi Ngidi, and he's got a fantastic slow ball, almost like a Dwayne Bravo like slow ball, I find that it's almost like easier to hit the ball in the air than it is to hit the ball on the grounds. And there was 4 or 5 balls where it was like trying to hit it straight back past him. Obviously because it was 2 wickets down, but that just shows you on a show wicket it's a difficult shot.
So you're almost saying like you then play him like an offie who's
Yes.
by and large bowling it full, because I think we saw that graphic too. The slow ball tends to be a lot fuller for Ngidi.
Yes.
So you're almost waiting for him like an offie would and try to loft him there. You didn't see that approach from India. India was still trying to.
The reason why is because they were 2 down. So I can understand why. But that on a surface like that, tactically that gives you an opportunity to try and attack the bowler again, because if the wicket is slow, it's difficult to generate pace on the ground to hit it for 4.
What is this exposed about the Indian batting, if anything? That they can't play pace off if the wicket is assisting in such a way?
I think what this is exposing, number one, is a batting order which is not which was not suitable to the wicket today. Number one, I would say Hardik Pandya should have definitely come up the order.
Okay.
Especially on a wicket that's not giving you pace, you need somebody who's holding their shape and hitting the ball. If they're hitting the ball, number one. Number two is, this was going to happen at some stage, is the reliance on Abhishek Sharma.
Yes.
That's something which is definitely coming to the fore. That's something which is definitely being exposed, because Abhishek Sharma always gave them that, gave the middle order that he could buy that extra time with the way he was going, the strike rate he was going. But now the middle order, after almost 2 years, are finding themselves in an alien situation where they have to come in now and suddenly accelerate and generate like few big overs out of nowhere.
I find that fascinating, because when I'm as an outsider and I look into the Indian team, I would never think that there would be a over-reliance on Abhishek Sharma, because I think of the Indian cricket team and I go, wow, these guys have got a powerful batting lineup.
Yes.
Like they just keep coming and they're just coming, and it's batter and batter and batter, and it's long. So it's an incredible batting lineup. So obviously that's backed by stats. The last 2 years there will be, the stats would say that, is that right? So it's a surprising thing to hear that's happened, because I see a lot of quality in that batting lineup.
It just feels like, A, they've been playing on really good batting wickets wherever they've played. And I don't know how much of the surfaces being challenging is, in a way, giving India's batting a bit of a reality check.
But they've played on challenging surfaces in the Asia Cup. Yes, very different.
Very good point.
Very
Yeah.
different opponents. Very, very different opponents. But they've played on very slow surfaces there, and they've done well. Like for example, somebody like Tilak. Again, I have to come back to that innings he played in the final.
Yep.
India were under immense pressure, but he got us out of jail. So India are really good playing in slow conditions.
So Tilak in particular now is a key player at 3, and we brought him up pre-show where Surya said, well, if a couple of wickets have fallen, you've got to play differently. Now Tilak looked like he was playing a high aggressive game, much to the branding of what this team has said. So out of the wickets that you saw first up, you have Kishan trying to take down Markram and failing, Tilak trying to take down Jansen and failing, so too Abhishek Sharma. Would you afford any kind of criticism to the batters that you didn't give yourself a chance to see what this wicket was like?
I don't think so. I think once again, Ishan Kishan, we spoke about it before, normally takes down off spin.
Yes.
So it's a very like you talk it, yeah, it's easy game, just knock it around. But he's a guy that if you bowl off spin like that to him 10 times in a row, probably 7 times he'll whack it for a boundary in that over, because he's done it over and over again. Surprisingly, what we discussed when we were sitting there is like, there's this off-spin thing that's just happening to Team India now. Like Ishan Kishan is a great player of off-spin. Tilak Varma can play off-spin. Like Sky can play off-spin. But all of a sudden, you throw an off-spin in there and a wicket falls in the first over.
See, look, the way I'm seeing this is, more often than not, when we break down a T20, especially a T20 game, we're talking about what the batsman couldn't do. But rarely do we actually tip a hat and say that the bowling unit was unbelievable. I think tonight's one of those nights where you just got to say South Africa bowled unbelievably well.
Oh yeah. I'm fully willing to give South Africa all the credit for especially the squeeze applied in the middle. I'm going down to before we even knew that the plan is a great plan, which is the impact that the first 4 overs have created. That's where I'm sort of
coming back to that. They just bowled brilliantly. They made sure they were keeping it out of the hitting arc. Even if you look at the Tilak wicket, talking about the Tilak wicket again, generally when Tilak steps out, a lot of people follow him, and that gets it into his arc. bowled away from him. So even the slow balls, the reason why they couldn't get the slow balls going, a lot of lefties, and it was all out of the hitting arc. So it was just great bowling by South Africa.
And Abhishek as well. Abhishek has got some great numbers against Marco Jansen. He's taken him down before, so he would have felt this is a good matchup for me. So I wouldn't criticize the attacking mindset.
Great.
No.
So I'm going to cancel out the first 4 overs from both sides. 3 for 20 South Africa, 3 for 26 India. And you think the defining partnership, as this result has gone now, has been Brevis and Miller in the first innings, and India have then thrown in Washington Sundar there. You've made your opinion on Washington, and in some ways it almost looked like it also just broke the possibility of India launching a counter-attack like South Africa did in the first innings. How about Surya Kumar Yadav though? 18 of 22 seems like an almighty struggle for the Indian captain. Is this again just down to pace off and perfect execution? Because Surya knows teams are going to do this against him. We've had this chat. Every team in the IPL wants to start bowling pace off to Surya.
This is something we've been talking about since the IPL, pace off against Surya. The moment you bowl pace off to Surya, he finds it very hard to play those laps. We saw him get beaten for the lack of pace quite a few times trying to play that lap. Even the ball he got out, he tried to go too much into the line.
And it's a weird dismissal, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've dropped something or I've dropped something?
Yeah. That was me.
India have dropped 2 points and a lot of net run rate today.
Yeah, so they bowled it way outside his hitting arc on the leg side, and he completely miscued it. So I think South Africa were really cued in, and David Miller, what an innings. That wasn't easy. Let's also talk about how well South Africa batted.
Oh, yeah.
Because the way David Miller and Devol Brevis had that partnership, made sure they kept the run rate very, very high while rebuilding was unbelievable.
Let's go there then now. On the evidence of what we've seen, that just puts the Miller innings and the Brevis and Miller partnership on such a high value.
Yeah, once again, so if you look at Miller, the way that he started, proper intent. Like he put the bowlers under pressure, knowing that there was 2 wickets lost already, and that's that mindset that we spoke about before the game. Is even when you lose 2 wickets, the best way to put a bowler under pressure is to play whatever is your way of being attacking. Because what you're trying to do is you're trying to offset the bowler out of his rhythm and his tempo, even when wickets are falling. And Miller today he didn't miss a beat. He had great intent. He knocked the ball on the ground. When the ball was in his area, he smoked it. What was it, 68 of 30 balls?
63 of 35. 7 4 3 6.
Great knock. And Brevis, I'm so happy for him. Like we said before, this was an innings that he needed to get himself going in the competition. He knows his bowlers very well, and it's a great sign for South Africa now that all the batters are scoring runs.
Anything to add on the success of that batting partnership, in particular, of course, taking down Varun Chakravarti, which remains, I guess, one of the many things that South Africa have got right today.
Varun Chakravarti obviously had an off day. South Africa played him very well. Again, plans. We talk about plans. South Africa had their plans in place, made him bowl shorter. The moment he felt pressure, he went really short. He came round the wicket to the righties, and he was bowling into them. So we saw a lot of different tactics from Varun Chakravarti, which we generally don't see. And after his first over, even to Miller, he was just going short and wide. Generally, we see Varun Chakravarti make sure he's bowling those lengths, and those lengths have gotten him all those wickets and the success over the last 2 years. But today, he just went away from those lengths, bowled defensively, and that's why they got away.
I mean, they've clearly neutralized Chakravarti. I'm going to come to some of the tactics India employed in that partnership as choice of bowlers in a moment, though. But we didn't get to speak on Tristan Stubs in the halftime show. Stubs has made sure that this goes to 187. Otherwise, at one point, we thought the game would cracked open and India might be able to pull them back to 160. So Stubs has played the finisher's role, I guess, perfectly today.
Yeah, perfectly. And there's been a bit of criticism of Tristan Stubs in the way that he builds his innings. I think that was the reason why initially wasn't in the team.
Yeah, there was a big debate, wasn't it?
Was the intent that he has. The coach, Shukri Conrad, has spoken about the way that the team must play, the attacking brand of cricket. You come in, you take the game on. And Stubs almost didn't fit into that mold. That's why I didn't find him to his seat in the plane in terms of selection. As you can see tonight, he did exactly the same thing. He played that tempo of 8 balls, of 8 runs. But then he exploded at the end. And that's a typical Tristan Stubs innings where he gets himself, knocks it around for a few balls and then explodes. So tonight it worked really well.
Now I go back to India's tactics when that partnership was building? Because India, you think 26 for 3, you've got the first punch in this game, right? You've got the big three that too, Rickleton, de Kock, Markram, form batters. Now you're into Miller and Brevis much earlier than they're used to perhaps coming in. You got a couple of overs of Dubey. They've taken down Chakravarti. Initially, I thought Surya was quite sharp. He brought in Chakravarti in the power play and he was going for the kill. Somewhere did he let that game drift as well? Do you think tactically India also were guilty of a few things in the first innings?
I think tactically, let's sum up Dubey's first over. He went wide Yorker 5 balls out of 6 balls in his first over. On a wicket that is helping you go into the wicket. First you go into the wicket. Your plan B is to go Yorker. On a wicket that's
Sorry, could I pull it back? Is plan A not giving Dubey a ball unless
100%. I was just coming to that.
Yeah.
There was no Washington Sundar went for 11 in his first over.
Yeah.
No worries. Anybody can go for 11, like I had said. But he came back, gave you a 5-run over. Why don't you just give Washington Sundar another over? You've played him as a proper bowler. You got to give the proper bowler another over. And
I don't know what they've played him as. I don't know if you know what they played him as.
No, they've obviously played him. They have 3 lefties, and they've played him as a bowler. And obviously somebody who can bat as well. But giving Dubey an over there, okay, fine, you gave Dubey an over. It didn't make sense to give Dubey an over there. You gave Dubey an over. The plan A should have been, if you're not going to bowl length balls, you go into the wicket off cutter. He was just going wide Yorker, which is not a great plan.
On the evidence of this whole game, do you sense that, I think I know the answer, but India were off, or even at times, dare I say, timid with Washi at 5, with bowling try and getting an over of Dubey. South Africa were sharp, positive with Miller's approach, with the choice of bowlings. Did you sense a different mentality with which the two teams even approached this game or played this game?
I don't think if I can put it down to mentality. It might be, but I'm not sure. I think South Africa, like you rightly say, South Africa was just on tonight. Tactically, mentally, physically, they were there tonight. They didn't miss, they didn't skip a beat. India, 1 or 2 areas where they're a little bit soft, and that just shows you the margins at the top end of the game. If you're a little bit off on the night, then a team can beat you, and South Africa showed that tonight. They gave him a proper hiding.
That is a proper high. 76 run. We did not see, nobody saw this coming. Pre-tournament hot favourites, what not, and all that.
Yeah.
But have they also perhaps exposed the template of how vulnerable this Indian team is? Because I think pre-tournament we're talking about where's the weakness for this Indian team.
See, on a slow wicket, when you have a lot of lefties and you have a bowling unit which is full of right-arm fast bowlers, it's really easy to go pace off away from them. If you throw in a righty there, which they should have thrown in Hardik Pandya earlier, then it gets a bit difficult because you're bowling into the hitting arc. It's not that easy to bowl away from the hitting arc to a righty when you have bowlers who are bowling off cutters. So this is again another tactical thing which teams are going to look at for the future games, especially the next 2 games.
Yeah, and it might, as a captain, might say, okay, Hardik's coming in, so let's bowl Keshav now, and then you bowl him at one of your lefties early on to try and take him down.
Is the call to bat first by Edin Markram after winning the toss looked at now as brilliant, or was it the straightforward call anyway?
I think we said it was the perfect call.
The stats backed it up. I mean, if you looked at the stats and you spent time looking at the stats, then the stats said yes, but still a very good decision.
So 21 out of 28, I'm told, captains choose to win the toss and bowl first here. But the stats back the teams that bat first.
Yeah, I think of late. I think you mentioned before, it's maybe IPL and stats before that, and there was dew, timing of the year when there's more dew. There's not as much dew this time of the year. So if you purely look at the World Cup, I think the numbers tells a different story.
Also, South Africa have played more games than India this World Cup on that ground. So they have some experience.
Experience, certainly, but India are very well acquainted with
recent experience.
They've played there, they've played there quite a bit over the years.
Yeah, they played some big games there also quite a bit.
There,
They also don't seem to be winning a lot of those big games there quite a bit.
Is that the last time we see them play there?
Whoa, 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 whoa! Yo, you with us for another 2 weeks here. You say this on your last day, if at all. Also, there is a question on our YouTube Live whether the black soil surfaces, another crucial game for India, are they just coincidences? Well, firstly, I'd like to believe for ICC tournaments that there is an independent assessment of which pitch is going to be used where. But I can take a general question here of whether a black soil pitch does not suit India, whether they are better off playing on red soil surfaces.
I wouldn't say so.
No?
No, not at all. Come on, India.
Look how their batters batted to pace off.
India are known to play well on slow wickets. We are one of the better teams on slow wickets. Today is just a day when a bowling unit has just outclassed you.
Okay. Faf, anything on that? What if you...
No, I agree, because you're playing against South Africa. It's not like you're playing against Pakistan or Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
So they should be better equipped for slower surfaces because they're much more used to it.
What else do we see right now? Lots of disappointed Indian fans, shall we put it that way, on some of the selection calls. I think Washington... I'd like to be fair though. India have not lost this game because they picked Washington Sundar.
No chance.
No.
Yeah, so I think we'll be very fair about those things because you tend to look at a defeat and go, oh,
They
look at this poor
they
selection.
might have not used him well.
Yeah.
That's a different thing,
Yeah.
but definitely not just by picking him.
It's one of several things that India have certainly been second at tonight.
Yeah.
And South Africa absolutely spot on with their selections too as well. The amount of seamers that they had. India didn't even have those many seamers in hindsight now.
Yeah.
If pace off was, I mean, it's easy in hindsight, but South Africa came prepared that if
On
we
paper,
need,
India had 4 seamers. Dubey, Hardik,
Yes,
Bumrah and Ashdeep.
but-
On paper.
but the quality of
quality of the
16
four
overs of
seam.
those seam.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. And you would think, once again, the venue says 68% of the wickets are seamers. So
Yep.
South Africa played that perfectly in terms of selection.
It's almost like something that South Africans saw in the build up to this game just fired them up. Like there was more for them to be on switch point.
If you remember quite a few of David Miller's interviews, and David Miller is the man of the match. After that World Cup, he was really disappointed.
Oh,
he
yes.
was very, very disappointed, and he would have been waiting for this opportunity to play India again in a high-stakes game and to prove himself. Because for all practical purposes, on any given day, David Miller would have hit that juicy full toss of Hardik Pandya out of the stadium, and there was a small stadium they were playing their final in. All right, and he said that to Surya Kumar Yadav. So knowing Davy over many years, he would have had a few sleepless nights. He would have been really annoyed with himself, and he's just taken all of that out today.
I mean, you can totally understand someone you know well, played so much with. This innings would have meant a great deal to him.
Yeah, I'd like to just back him up on that. Certainly knowing the South African team, there's a lot of hunger and desire after what happened on that game. You know, they remember that day very well, and they carry it not with a sense of negativity. There's a lot of motivation to beat India in a final,
Yes.
if that's the case. But today you could have seen that there was a lot of passion. You know, Aidan Markram getting that wicket, you could see it on his face.
100%. They were up for this.
Means
big
a
time.
lot. So yeah, that's a very fair point.
Yeah, I mean, and they've been in India long enough now. So when you're in India, you can't possibly miss the replay of the 2024 final. So
Yeah,
guys
true.
And like Darren Sammy
tried to
said,
push it
if
out.
anybody has to win this trophy, they have to go through India. South Africa have gone through India.
Oh, yeah, they've
But
played
yeah,
us
on your Miller
spectacular.
point, yeah, I'm so glad for the guy, because he's also found himself of late almost like competing for a spot,
Yes.
because he's been injured a little bit. They've given other guys opportunities. So a lot of people in South Africa was almost thinking that Miller is not finding himself in the strongest team. So, and he's your experienced finisher. He's your guy that you want them to be there at the last 4 or 5 overs in the game, because he's such a calm head. So to see that tonight was great to see.
And dare I say, if the perception is right about Miller in South Africa, it's more about whether his returns for the South African team are just as good as his returns for various T20 franchise leagues around.
Yeah, and
We're expecting a little more from Miller at times.
I think also now there's competition, and I can say that certainly from being around the team, you know, when I played there to looking from the outside now, it seems like South African cricket has got a lot more depth. So now it's not just your 4 or 5 players that are the bankers, and you rely heavy on them. There is a depth in South African, the pool of players, purely because I think of the SA20, where it's now putting pressure on the guys so they can't just rest on their previous performances in previous years.
Well, South Africa have made a statement to the rest of the World Cup, not just India, that you'd almost now, most pundits, I think most people, most fans would be ticking South Africa as perhaps the first semi-finalists with these massive 2 points and the big net run rate boost. This is what Aidan Markram has to say. Great performance, different type of wicket to what we have had here. Boys assess that early and then to adapt to their plans. Happy for the bowlers. What are you two laughing at?
I'm laughing at you.
I like to take I like to take a pause.
Independent.
Like Usman Tariq, I take a slight pause and carry on. Well, I will give up. Yeah. Start. Go back to Aiden Markram. Shush, both of you. Happy for the bowlers. Start to the competition was tough, but tonight they were really brilliant. The partnership between Brevis and Miller that they put up, it kept us in the game. Did not feel like the ball was travelling. It was a bit spongy. We were just trying to hit into space and run hard. They bowled well up front and at the death, but our batting through the middle was probably the difference. Is that fair assessment? Anything that stands out in those comments from the SA captain?
Smart cricket.
Yes.
Cricket awareness is important in T20 cricket. We think now of T20 sixes and fours and power and muscle, but on venues where you just have to go, what is it going to require today to be successful? At times being aggressive, but they were smart, and that's a smart comment. Hitting gaps, hitting fours, hitting twos.
And that translates into a lower dot ball percentage. Exactly what Faf is saying.
that's
Exactly what Aiden Markram is saying. And exactly what we started by saying.
Yeah.
Like if you have almost close to 50 dot ball percentage in the whole game, that means you weren't looking to hit those gaps. You weren't looking for those singles. And on a slow wicket, you've got to get those singles. And how will you get those singles? Through experience. You got to get Hardik Pandya up the order.
There we go.
Simple as that.
Yeah, and I think it now just if you read the game again through these comments, you could see India were going for boundary, and wicket.
And it wasn't the nature that wicket wasn't the style of wicket where you could come in and just hit boundaries straight away.
All right. Surya Yadav has spoken. Let's see what the Indian captain has said. We were always in the game when we started. Bowled really well in the beginning. From 7 to 15, they batted really well, and then we came back. Bowled really well, but could have batted better. Sometimes you have to think you cannot win the game in the power play, but you can lose it. Okay, I'm going to make notes over here. You can't win the game in the power play, but you can lose it. Did not have the partnerships we needed. Part of the game, we learned from it. Sit back and bounce back. On Arshdeep and Bumrah, everyone knows their combination has been lethal. Both bowled 8 overs, picked up 5 wickets, gave 45-50, bowled well in partnerships. Good to have them in our side. On the plans for the next game, hopefully we bat well, bowl well and field well.
Wow.
Keep it simple, that is what we try to do. Are India in trouble?
For sure.
Look, I think a lot of people will panic a little bit now when you look at the Indian team, but there is still a lot of quality in that cricket side. So that leadership group, that coaching staff would make sure that they focus on what they have in their team and make sure that they keep reinforcing that positive way. And how can you get better as a team? Because what you're still trying to achieve is you're still trying to do this. So there's still enough time in the competition to play your best cricket towards the back end. So they still have time for that. They do have a little bit more pressure on them now.
I can't help but think that the India-West Indies game, and the more importantly actually the South Africa-West Indies game now, which would have happened by the time that game happens, is crucial. Because with this loss, Varun, when India plays Zimbabwe, I wonder if, while we say we're not supposed to think of net run rate, first get the 2 points, India can't ignore net run rate now with Zimbabwe, with due respect to them. Can't take them lightly at the Chepauk.
This might work in India's favour because we've been seeing a very different approach from the way they've been playing their T20 cricket over the last 2 years. It's been slightly measured, if I can say. They're going to have to go with go hard or go home kind of approach against Zimbabwe because one, they obviously have to get the win, but get the win by a big margin to get their net run rate up. So this just might be that game where India hit their straps. I mean, we are hoping.
Okay, well, that's pretty much it. Zimbabwe and the West Indies are sitting in our city right now in Mumbai watching this game in action tomorrow. And then, of course, West Indies and South Africa will play at Ahmedabad again. Look at the advantage Faf du Plessis' team has over here. All in one venue.
It's about time.
Not having
I kind of want to say something else.
terrible. When have
What
we
is
ever
that
had-
one World Cup where Dubai was it the city? where-
Champions Trophy.
Champions Trophy.
Gautam Gambhir will remind you if you've forgotten. It will come through a press conference. He's the man who won us the Champions Trophy. Let's not forget. All right. On that note, I think it's an uneasy night for the head coach to sleep with. And whatever the captain must say, he's a cool customer. This is going to take some serious steel to come back from.
Like Surya said, you got to bat, bowl and field well in the next couple of games.
That's the kind of analysis I look forward to hearing from the two of you on this show. I expect nothing less. But Faf du Plessis, that is a proud day, I think,
Very
for
proud.
South African cricket. For
Very
that
proud.
kind of performance against the home team, silencing the crowd. It was reminiscent of Pat Cummins' Australia in the 2023 World Cup final.
Yeah, massive crowd. I mean,
Yes,
100,000.
let's not forget that.
So people talk about pressure and South Africa, and There's so many occasions in this World Cup where South Africa has exceeded pressure.
Yes.
Every time there's pressure on, they just step up. Afghanistan, everyone would think it's not a lot of pressure to Afghanistan. It's a huge amount of pressure. To get through that game the way that they did, a simple thing like KG Rabada taking that ball from that wide, catching it cleanly and stumping
100%.
it. It might look like something small in the moment, but that is dealing with pressure really well. The crowd today would have been a massive pressure thing against you, and they were unbelievable.
Yeah, and I was at that game at Ahmedabad, and you almost felt like that game could have been a single point difference to take the South African team to exactly this performance. If they go all the way, they look at that game. They just refused to lose
Yep.
after Afghanistan had almost brought themselves back in it. And that's pretty much it, I think. So we will do a rapid fire review with you later.
Yep.
And that is something you can catch on ESPN Cricket Info. But it's a good night for the South Africans in Ahmedabad. I'm sure they'll find enough ways to celebrate in the wonderful state of Gujarat. Varun Aaron,
Absolutely.
thank you so much
Many
for your
options
time.
there.
Many.
Yeah.
Thank you to Varun Aaron and to Faf du Plessis. All
Thank
smiles, gentlemen. Wonderful game for South Africa. Huge wake-up call for India. Not the close contest that I would have liked, but you have to tip your hat off to South Africa. They were spectacular. It takes a spectacular all-round effort to humble India like that at home. Let's see how the defending champions bounce back for their next game. That'll be in a couple of days. Tomorrow we'll be live for Zimbabwe against the West Indies at the Wankhede Stadium. Join us just around the toss on ESPN Cricket Info Timeout, powered by Garnier Men. Good night.
New Garnier Men Acno Fight Gentle Cleanser. ये है gentle on skin, tough on pimples.